Bethany here with Craft with Bethany, and welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be a quick little project idea. I'm not going to go through the whole tutorial because there's a lot of gluing and drying involved. I'm just going to kind of talk you through some of it, and then we're going to put together the finishing touches. But today I really wanted to show you all the new Starcraft Chalk and Mineral Paints. These are fantastic, and these are available over at My Craft Source. I have them linked in the description below so you guys can go find them. They come in several different colors, and you can get them in small sample size, which is great if you're just doing some small crafts. But you can also get them in larger sizes, like 16 ounces and 32 ounces. So if you're doing some chalk paint furniture rehab projects, that's a great size for those. But for what we're going to make today, we're going to use the small samples, and I used 4 different colors for this project. So I'm going to kind of turn the camera down. We're going to look at what I made. Think fall vibes, definitely ready for some fall weather. So I wanted to make something that kind of made my home get ready for the fall season, and this is a quick project that you can do. You should have a lot of these things if you're a crafter laying around your house ready to go. So let's dive into today's project. Okay, so for today's project, I made little wooden pumpkins. How stinking cute are these? And I used the chalk paints from Starcraft available at My Craft Source. So this one is the coral, which actually turned out to be the cutest shade of pumpkin-y orange. It's a lot lighter orange than it probably comes across on camera, but it is perfect, more of like a modern day orangey pumpkin, right? I had to do one in all black. I just thought this was so fun, and throw some leopard print ribbon on there. And then this cream colored one just screamed for some blushes and creams and pinks. And then of course I did one in gray. My whole house is pretty much painted gray. I used some fun gray plaids. I threw in a little orange and green to dress it up, and some burlap. So we're gonna kind of go over these. I've got small pumpkins and big pumpkins. So I'm gonna walk you through how to make these for yourself and for your home. I think these would be adorable, like on an entryway table, on your kitchen or dining room table. If you're having friends over for the holidays, for Thanksgiving, this would be super cute. And I also think that these right here, these big ones and the little ones, would make wonderful gifts. An easy way to dress up your office, whether you're working from home or in the office. And like I said, perfect gifts, but look how fun these are. These would make great sellers at vendor fairs. So if you're looking to add another fall craft to quick and easy and inexpensive to do for vendor fairs, I think these would just fly off the shelves and be a big hit. So let's kind of dive into what I used and how to make these. To make your pumpkin, you're gonna need 2x4, a piece of 2x4 wood. That is what I used. I just had a scrap piece laying around, so that was pretty quick and easy to grab, and I decided I'm gonna make pumpkins out of a piece of 2x4. And so what I did is I just cut my 2x4, and I have different sizes. So what I have is my small pumpkins just have 3 pieces of 2x4, and my large pumpkins have 4 pieces of 2x4. Okay, so that's what makes them a little bigger. For the small ones, I went with a 4-inch piece that goes across here is 4 inches, then a 5-inch piece, and then another 4-inch piece. And for my larger ones, this is a 5-inch piece, 2 6-inch pieces, and another 5-inch piece. You can play around with the sizes, make them smaller, bigger, stack more to make them even bigger if you want. I think you can make some really cool big ones. These are a little heavy, especially this one, but they're not super heavy, but I know the bigger you make them, obviously the heavier they're gonna get. So once you get your pieces cut, you're going to, they're rough. I mean, it's a 2x4, so it's not super smooth. We kind of sanded and round off the edges and got them nice and smooth and prepped and ready for painting. To paint these, I literally used a sponge brush and my paint, my chalk paint from My Craft Source, available right now. A couple things I recommend having to keep your workspace and yourself clean when painting these blocks is a set of gloves. you're gonna need a foam brush and paper plates. I chose to paint all the sides of each block for my pumpkin. Even though they're stacked together, just for my own sanity, I just painted them completely. A little goes a long way with this paint. I just dipped a little bit on my brush and painted. It dries very quickly, which I really love. So this made it like a one-night project. I just sat down and knocked them out. But you're just gonna dip a little and paint it on. Wear your gloves to protect yourself. You can wash it off your hands, but I just wanna let you know that I had a fresh manicure, so I didn't want to ruin it with a bunch of paint. So I just always like to wear gloves and keeps my workspace clean. When you are done painting one of your blocks, I just set it on the short side like this, and I stacked all of the ones for one pumpkin on one paper plate and set it aside. Now I will say they do dry quickly, and sometimes they will stick to your paper plate depending. I just have some little cheap ones that I used, but if you want to use like a wax paper laid out on your table and stack them that way, that'd probably be even easier than paper plates, and it probably wouldn't stick to a wax paper. But if mine did stick a little bit to the paper plate, that was my fault. So when I pulled it up, I just took a little bit of sandpaper and lightly sanded just the paper that came off of my paper plate that was still stuck to the side here. And you couldn't even tell that I had sanded it or anything. So it was good to go. So once all of your blocks are painted and dried, and like I said, they dry very quickly. By the time I had painted all of these, the first couple sets were already dry. We're now ready to assemble our pumpkin. So see, this project's going very quickly. Let's assemble our pumpkins. This project, I chose to use E6000 glue that you can pick up at craft stores and hardware stores. This is some pretty strong stuff. It is clear. It will dry within, it says 72 hours. I noticed that within 24 hours, so I kind of let them sit overnight, they were pretty solid, but I noticed that one of mine had gotten bumped and was a little crooked, and so I was still able to remove it, re-glue and reposition it so it was straight, and now they're all fully cured. So once they are fully cured, it's going to be a lot harder to take them apart. But the E6000 does have a strong odor, so definitely use a very well ventilated area. Definitely wear some gloves with this. What I did is I took my wood piece, I dabbed a kind of a dollop, maybe a nickel-sized dollop right in the middle, and I just took my next piece and put it right on there and centered it, and I just stacked from the bottom up. And once I stacked them and they were glued, I set them aside. Let them dry for at least 24 hours before you start attaching these things, but you can go ahead and start making these so when it's time to attach them, you're ready to go and it moves very quickly. So when it comes to embellishments for the top of your wooden pumpkin that you just built, there are a lot of options. So it really just comes down to personal preference, your taste in style and home decor. And if you're choosing to sell these, you're gonna have to think outside the box to be able to attract different people with different aesthetics, okay? So that's why I did some black pumpkins with a leopard print. It's why I did some more neutral gray pumpkins with a little bit of color and some burlap, very neutral farmhouse friendly. This pumpkin, I had to throw in a little bit of a leopard leaf, but I got some burlap. I've got a little touch of orange. I didn't want too much orange with the orange pumpkin, but I also have some glitter in there, and I just think that is super fun. And then I kind of went off the other end of the spectrum, and for this cream colored pumpkin, I chose to go with this beautiful mauve pink crushed velvet ribbon. I threw in some lace. To me, this was just a very delicate, girly, friendly one. This is like a peachy pink rope ribbon and a velvet ribbon. So I just wanted to be delicate and pretty with this one. I love this one. But it's definitely not your traditional fall colors, but I think that's what makes it fun. And there will be people that love this type of style as well as like the leopard print. Now this one, each one that I did was a little different. This one has your, one of my favorites, the buffalo plaid, with a little bit of a burlap ribbon, a little sparkle of gold and rope, and I love this ruffled ribbon. I don't know if you can see that it's got a little ruffle on the edge. So how fun are all of those? So I'm going to show you some of the techniques that I use for making these types of decorations on the top that I did, but make it your own. Do something fun. I think pom-poms would be really cute, maybe some tassels, some different things, and we're going to kind of go over some of that. Okay, so some of the things that I chose to use, I found these craft cinnamon sticks at Hobby Lobby. I used the craft ones instead of the real ones because I did cut these down shorter with just a pair of scissors. They do crack a little bit, but not much. I felt like these were a little more sturdy than the real cinnamon sticks. But these make fantastic stems on top of your pumpkin. And they're all a little different, and they look like a little stick, and they smell good. So I just hot glued that right in the center. So I started with the stick, okay? I put that right in the center and hot glued it on and secured it. Now, we're gonna go over the ribbons in a second, but when it comes to other embellishments to put onto the top of your pumpkin for the fall, I thought these little pine cones were super cute. So there was a bag of some medium to larger size pine cones, and I used one of these on one of the bigger pumpkins that I made because they were a little too big for the small ones. But then I found this bag of mixed little pine cones, and some had this like gold color on them and some were just teeny tiny regular pine cones, and I would mix one of each of these on the other small ones, and it was really, really cute. What's great about pine cones is you can just find some in your yard if you have some pine cones out there, and if you want to paint them you can and use them yourself. You don't have to go buy them at the craft store, but I got these at Hobby Lobby. I also got these at Hobby Lobby. This is some faux stemware, florals, and these have like acorns on it and fake leaves and more pine cones and these little berries, all in like fall colors. This would be a great option. You can just snip off what you want to use and hot glue them onto the top of your pumpkins. This one's got some like foamy feeling, interesting textures and patterns for leaves, and then it's got some little beaded things here, but I thought this one would be super cute on top of some of the pumpkins as well. So really you have a lot of options when it comes to decorating the tops of these. Next, when it comes to making the little bow on the top that I did, I chose to do different sizes of ribbons. So they're all start out the same length, and I'll show you how to put one together in a second. But in order to create some dimension and texture and not cover all of it up, I started with a big, wide ribbon. I chose to use wired ribbon. I feel like it helps hold a shape better and doesn't get too floppy. So you can maneuver it a little bit better, and it makes a good base for your other ribbons. So the wired ribbon, you might find some in the fabric section at Hobby Lobby, but the best place to find wire ribbon at Hobby Lobby is over on the ribbon aisle near the floral department, okay? So I've got my wired ribbon, and then I chose to pair it with two slightly smaller ribbons that I crisscross, and I'll show you that in a second. These are the same ribbons. These two are from Michaels, and they are a satin ribbon, and they have a little ruffle along the edge. Again, it just adds some dimension and character and texture. And then lastly, I chose to use two smaller ribbons right here. And one is white that has like gold dots on it. There's a lot of these to choose from over in that fabric section with all those ribbons. And then this one's black with just looks like stitching down both sides in white. And so I felt like all of these would kind of tie in together. And then that's what I used to make my bow on top of the black pumpkin, just like this. Those were my pieces. Didn't that turn out super cute? And to tie all of these ribbons together, I got this little decorative trim. It comes in a ribbon. There's gold, there's silver, there's lots of colors. Honestly, you're not going to end up seeing this once you hot glue it all on and put like pine cones and leaves and everything else on top. But what I love about this stuff is it's stretchy. So you can tie your bow really tight and it's going to stay. So I just had to stretch it and do a double knot, and it stays in place. So let's put one of these bows together really quick, and I'll show you how I do it, and then you can create it for yourself for your own pumpkins with your own color choices and ribbons. Okay, let's make a bow. So we're gonna start with our widest ribbon, and you can choose to make it as long as you want. I went with about 8 or 9 inches for my pumpkins, and then I end up trimming them a little shorter when it's all said and done. So we're gonna start with our widest base ribbon, and then we're gonna take our next to wide ribbon and we're going to measure the same length as our base, roughly. It doesn't have to be exact. We are gonna trim these, and we are going to crisscross these. I love this ruffled ribbon from Michaels. And this one got a little crinkle in the ruffle when I rolled it back up on the spool last time I used it. You can just take your finger and fix it. Okay, so I think I'm gonna lay the white one down first and then the black one on top. And I'm just crisscrossing. And then we're going to do the smaller ribbon. Again, close in length. Doesn't have to be exact. I'm choosing to put the black ribbon crossing over the white so you can see it. It contrasts a little more. And then the white is gonna go over the black one. So it's all about textures, patterns, sizes, colors, crisscrossing, mixing, blending. And so this is kind of our center point right here where everything kind of crosses and meets. I'm gonna take a little piece. You don't need a whole lot. Like I said, this stuff stretches. Little piece of the trim that is stretchy. And I'm gonna lay that down right here. And what I do is I take this, I kind of hold it all in the center, and I just flip it over right onto this. And from here, we are going to just do a double knot. I'm gonna do the first one and just pull it tight, just like this. Pull it really tight. And then do a second one, and I'm gonna trim my extra. There we go. So this is what we have. It's a little off center. That's okay, we'll fix it. Now we want to kind of trim up our pieces so we can see everything. So I always start with the biggest one in the back. I want to keep it pretty much the longest. So I fold it in half on the end. You got to clean up your edges, right? So I'm just going to cut a little like that. So when you open it up, nice and pretty, okay? This is like bow making 101, okay? Now this one obviously is a lot shorter than this one because I didn't tie it dead center. It doesn't always have to be perfect. Remember, things are handmade. So you can fold it in half and kind of figure out where it needs to match up on this side and be similar in length. There we go. Now that looks better, closer to being the same size. I also like to kind of turn these this way so that my bow is kind of going more up instead of down. Totally personal preference. Next, we're gonna trim our wider, next to wide ribbons, our medium ribbons, I guess is a better word. And we're just gonna do the same thing. I trim these a little shorter than my widest ribbon because I still wanna see that leopard. That's my fun little accent piece on this one. And these don't have to be the same. They can be close, but they don't have to be the same. And then we'll come over here and do the same thing to this side. Just like that. There we go. And now all that we have left is these longer pieces. And I don't fold them and cut them the same way. I just kind of cut them at an angle, and they can kind of be whatever length you want. There we go. There we go. So now we have our little bow, and it's ready to go on top of the pumpkin. And basically what you're going to do is put, I'm showing you on the back side of this one, you're just gonna put a little dabble of hot glue right here, right up next to the stick, the cinnamon stick we used. And this is just gonna get placed right in there. and press it down and hold it. Now, honestly, this is really cute with 2 bows on top. It might be a little busy for some people, but it's actually really stinking cute. So once this is dried down, all I did then was take some pine cones, place them on top to cover the center, and that's how I finished my pumpkin. Super simple, super cute, and you can mix and match this any way you want. And I love the little touch of gold in this pine cone that goes with the gold in this ribbon. This is more of a natural pine cone, so it's totally your preference and what you want to do. But there's so much creativity that can be done with these, and I hope you enjoyed learning how to make these little fun, like frilly bows. There's no tying and bowing and looping and all of that involved. These are pretty straightforward and super cute. And I think honestly, this would be super cute as a little kid's hair bow. And what you could do is just get a little alligator clip and hot glue that on right here and use it that way for a little girl's hair. So the last thing I wanted to show you is my hot glue gun. I am obsessed with my Lynn Lilly hot glue gun from Surebonder. You can go to Surebonder and order it. Some of the local stores might carry this specific one. They do make some that are not the Lynn Lilly branded one with these cute pink and teal colors that are just like a black color, but they're the same hot glue gun. But basically what I love so much about this hot glue gun is it is cordless. So while it is on the base, it is charging and heating up. It has this great little silicone pad right here, so if it drips, it just pops right off and stays clean. It doesn't mess up your countertop or surface. It also has a fine tip point for precise placement of your hot glue, and it uses the little skinny glue sticks. You just turn it on right here. When it's on, it'll be heating up and show a red light here. So when I'm ready to use it, I just pick it up, take it off my stand. I don't have any like cords in the way or anything. I can just glue wherever I need to and put it right back on the stand, or I can set it down until I'm ready to put it back on the stand. So this is one of my favorite hot glue guns I've ever had. So I just wanted to show it to you all. I've had it for a long time now. It stays out on my counter just because it's super cute. And I hope you guys like this. I will link this specific hot glue gun in the description below. So what did you think of my little pumpkins? I think they turned out super cute. I love them. I can say the chalk paint from Starcraft that's available at my craft source is wonderful chalk paint. I have refurbished furniture before. I have tried different brands and I am sold on these. I love them. They are very low odor. They dry super quickly. They're very pigmented. A little goes a long way. And I just did one coat on these. One coat, which I think is fantastic. So I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Be sure to check out all of the My Craft Source Starcraft Chalk paints over at My Craft Source on their website. Like I said, the link is in the description below. There's like 10 different colors to choose from that they have right now. And these just launched and they're fantastic. So get your hands on them, do some fun crafts. I can't wait to see what you make with these. So be sure to, when you finish making these, to post them and tag Craft with Bethany on Facebook, Instagram, or send me a picture directly. I would love to share it as well. And I'm excited to see how creative you get with these. I don't know if I showed you these earlier. They are leopard leaves. I just thought this was so cute. I think I may have showed you this one, but I just had to show you to you again. But anyways, I hope you enjoy it. I think I'm ready for fall. So I'm gonna go set these out around my house and maybe give a few away as gifts. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. Again, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that bell for future tutorials. I will be back soon with more crafting projects from my September mystery box with My Craft Source, so be tuning in for those. I don't want you to miss them. And like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Bye guys, have a great day.